Today we're going to talk about couples that are in crisis and are fighting. So I look at the difference between fighting and arguing is fighting's a competition. Like when two boxers get in the ring, they're competing to win a fight. And they'll land blows, they'll maneuver, they'll take steps to the left, they'll dance to the right, they'll do whatever it takes to outmaneuver the other player and win the boxing match. And so a fight is like literally a competition. And in relationships, we don't want to be in competition with our partner. We don't want to have two lovers that are like now competing to be right. A lot of couples do that. A lot of couples get caught up in this warfare where it's like this lateral movement through life where we don't ever get better. We probably don't get worse. It gets harder because we just keep track of who won the last fight, and we're competing for like a win today because maybe we lost yesterday. And so we want to get rid of fighting and we want to start arguing. Arguing is actually romantic. I think I stuttered on the word arguing, but arguing is romantic. When I say that, what do you think? Like, no way. Arguing's like miserable. But if you think about it, you can't become closer with someone you won't argue with. Arguing is when you share your feelings about something, you share your ideas about something, you receive empathy, you receive compassion, you receive understanding, and then you are fully understood, and then you give that same gift back to your lover where you listen, you understand them, you empathize with them, you have compassion for them, and you tell them how well you understand them. So getting to know each other better requires arguing. Now, if it crosses into competing for being understood or competing to be right, competing to never be wrong, that's fighting. That's not romantic. That kills the romance. And so I'm hoping to identify um, 9 steps. That is a lot of steps. I usually like to keep it to 3 or 4 manageable, but 9 steps of both cognitive and emotional awareness that couples could take on and become more romantic arguers. And so we're going to go through these 9 rather quickly, but I want you to focus on the idea of these 9 are it increases the romance, it increases the knowledge, it increases the empathy, it increases the awareness of who your lover is and who you are in the relationship. So you become more whole, more of a self, and you also become a more compassionate lover, a more empathic lover, and a giver. And so it's a win on all sides. And so I want you to focus on these 9 steps. First, when you run up against an issue and you have either a disagreement or a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding who the other one is on a certain topic, you want to do some things. Now, this is the hard one, probably for most of us. You need to identify one issue. So many times, people see these tentacles of like 100 sub-issues for every issue, and they put them all on the table. And next thing you know, you've got like an overwhelm of 100 different little points that have to be uncovered and resolved. And that's also a form of manipulation. It's like if I can overwhelm you with all of the ways that this is a crisis or that you're wrong, now I'm fighting to win. I'm competing with you, and I'm overwhelming you so that you'll give up. And so many times, the winner of the fight is the one that didn't wear out. Think about Rocky 3, like who won the fight, and it's because he didn't wear out before the other one. And so the idea behind fighting and kind of overwhelming your partner to overwhelm or to fatigue is not romantic. If you identify one issue and you boil it down to a sentence or two, okay? So the issue is I'm not getting enough help in the kitchen late in the evening after the kids are in bed. Okay, so that's a pretty clear one issue. Now that could spring into you're always late from getting home from work. You're never attentive. You don't check in with me when you get home from work to even see what needs to be done. You do help, but you don't help with the right stuff. And really, you coming in yelling at the kids isn't helpful at all. And so now we got like 8 issues on the table, and there's 8 sentences there that each have a different solution. As hard as it is to practice the romantic art of arguing, you want to pick one of those, the core one, and go for a resolution in that. So boil it down to one sentence, and if you can, to one feeling. So I feel sad or I feel frustrated that I'm not getting enough help in the kitchen in the evenings after the kids are in bed. Or it might be I feel neglected intimately because we don't have enough time to be close, and it makes me sad. And so you got sad and neglected and not enough intimate time. And so there's these ways of defining the problem or defining the issue that we're talking about. Now, once you've defined it, you have to do this second part. And the second part is easy. It's just that so many couples decide they don't care how their partner or their lover feels or thinks. They just want to be understood. So if I'm fighting with you, I just want you to understand me. I don't care to understand you because I want to knock you out. So what I want you to do is I want you to literally focus on reflecting the issue back and forth until you understand each other. And so you share your interpretation of the problem. So what I hear you saying is not getting enough help in the kitchen after the kids are in bed, and you are blaming me for that, and it's making you frustrated. And then my wife might mirror back to me, no, I didn't say that I think you're bad. I didn't say anything. What I'm saying is after the kids are in bed, there's this window of time before we go to bed that I see you relaxing because I know you've had a long day at work, and I can't relax because things have to get done, or tomorrow they'll build up and I'll have to do them tomorrow morning, and there's just no time. And so let's say I reflect that back. So, okay, so what you're saying is that I'm working hard. I thank you for giving me some credit there for doing my job, and then I'm tired when I get home. But then I also recognize you're tired after a long day of doing all of the stuff that you have to be responsible for. And there's that window of time where you have to get stuff done, or tomorrow it'll stack up and you'll be overwhelmed, and you just need some help with that. And then she'll confirm, yep, you finally understand it. You get it. You understand me. And then I'll share with her perhaps well, in that window of time before we go to bed, I would like to have that time be us being close, because I feel like we don't have enough time to connect. And I feel like a lot of times you overdo and maybe are too much of a perfectionist. And so a lot of times what you're doing in that window of time after the kids are in bed, I don't think is necessary. And so it's hurtful when I give up connection with you to just do chores. And so she would mirror that back to me until I said, yep, you understand me. So now we understand each other. We've reflected back and forth our interpretation of the problem and what's going on. She believes more help's necessary. I believe she's too much of a perfectionist, and she's doing more than she needs to, which leaves us no time to connect. So once we understand each other at that level, we can move to this empathy piece. Now, the empathy piece is such a key to the argument. The empathy piece is where she reflects back to me some form of, I understand, and it is important that we connect, and I'm so grateful that you want to connect, and I'm sad that you're not feeling it. I'm sad that you're not feeling that we have enough time for that, and so that does need to be solved. That's her empathizing. And me empathizing with her would be that statement that I made earlier is, you have so much on your plate. I get that you can't let stuff stack up for the next day. And I'm sad that you feel that kind of overwhelm. Now, see, we're not saying right or wrong. I'm not saying she's right or wrong. I'm not agreeing that she has to do that work. I'm agreeing that if she feels like everything's going to stack up to where she can't get it all done, that would be an overwhelming feeling that I'm sad that she would have. So I'm not addressing me at that point. I'm putting myself in her shoes and addressing her. Empathy is seeing the issue through the eyes and ears of your partner, through the eyes and ears of your lover. You're literally feeling what's in their heart. You're not feeling what's in your heart. You're feeling what's in their heart. Like, you can only understand other people if you can put yourself in their place. And literally, if all you're doing is judging negatively, you don't have time to learn to love them. And so this idea about empathy is using your eyes to see her eyes, what she sees, what she feels, and what she hears, okay? And that's important. That empathy piece softens everything. It creates synergy towards a solution that you both love. And so jump into that empathy piece after you've reflected back and forth enough to understand each other. Now, why wouldn't you do empathy first? Well, you don't do empathy first because once you understand them cognitively and you understand the emotion, now you can feel it with them. Okay? Until you understand it, like you might be misunderstanding their whole emotional response. Like, what if I think she's angry? And she says, no, 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 not angry. I'm hurt, sad, and frustrated. And I go, oh, okay, that's different than angry. You're not mad at me. You're hurt and frustrated because you're overwhelmed. And so then I can truly put myself in her shoes because I truly understand, because we reflected back and forth and we each took a turn, okay? So you want to remind yourself that, and this is an emotional portion of this, finding romance and empathy in arguing. Once you've empathized, after reflecting the issue back and forth until you understand each other, you want to remember that the relationship is more important than being right. So that adage, do you want to be right or do you want to be in love? You got a choice. You can't do both sometimes, okay? If you want to be right, just keep driving your point home until you wear them out, okay? It's easy. If you want to be in love, you want to remember that this solution you're going to look for is more important than how you feel. It's more important than whatever pain you're in. It's more important than being right. And if you and your partner both feel that way, if my wife comes into it thinking, okay, the solution to this is more important than me being right, how you feel is more important than my pain right now. And so now we're both working for each other. We're not competing with each other. We're becoming one flesh. It's her and I against the problem, not me against her fighting about the problem, okay? And so that you can see how that's beginning to be romantic. It's like we externalize the problem. It's out here on the coffee table. And now my wife and I are looking at the problem together, and it's her and I, the team. The problem's the thing where you might look at the problem's the enemy, not my wife. It's like her and I are looking at the enemy together, and we're fighting the war together. We're arguing with each other to get to know each other better so that we can solve this issue that's getting in the way of our joy, our bliss, okay? And so remind yourself that the relationship's more important than being right. It's like always, it has to be that way. Now, this number 5 is super easy. It's one that people struggle with, though. I want you to think at number 5 on the 9 scale that we're doing is you have to be accountable and own your part of the problem. Now, I could say, hey, the problem really is she is a perfectionist and she just wants to do too much, and I just don't care. I don't care that it gets done. And if I don't care that it gets done and I think it's ridiculous that she does it, why should I own part of the problem? I'm not part of the problem, okay? What I have to own is that she's overwhelmed with her duties that she has taken on, the responsibilities that she owns. And if I'm on her team, whether or not she's too much of a perfectionist isn't the issue. The issue is I'm not helping enough. Okay, now my help might need to be sitting down with empathy and compassion and helping her slow it down a little bit, helping her say no to some things so that she has more time. It might be that, but not arguing or not fighting with her for a win. Might be my role is if I own that I'm not helping her enough, I jump in and help her more. So I have to own that, okay, what I'm being told is that I am not helping enough, and so I'm going to be accountable. I do realize that when you're working, I'm watching TV. And so all of the reasons I have for watching TV don't matter. The reality is in this problem, I'm accountable for doing just that. And it's getting in the way of your joy and your bliss and our love. So I got to own that. So you have to find accountability for your part. If you always believe you're not accountable or not the problem or not part of the problem, that's a little bit narcissistic of you. That's a little bit selfish of you. And none of you are that. None of you are selfish. None of you are just horrible people. So I want you to always in every single argument, find a way that you can see your wrong stuff. Find a way that you can see your problem and be accountable for your part of this issue, whatever the issue is, okay? So owning that with compassion would be, I was wrong when I just discounted your desire to have a clean house in a certain way. I was wrong when I said that I think that you waste time doing things that are not necessary, because if you think they're necessary, I've got to get on board, or I've got to sit with you and talk with you all the way through it to see if maybe we can soften the necessity and maybe help you not do so much. So I've either got to do one or the other. I can't just like throw it out there as a jab. So that's owning your part of the problem. Now, as you own your part of the problem, you want to start to identify together how it will look when it's perfect. Okay? How will this look when it's perfect? So when our life is perfect, everything will be done perfectly, and we will have plenty of intimate time together. So I want all of the stuff magically done perfectly, just like my wife does. She wants connection and intimate time with me, just like I do. So we both want this ideal. Once we understand the ideal and we've kind of bounced ideas off each other on what the ideal would look like, we have to consider ways or strategies to get there. Now, some people say, well, how many different strategies do you have to cover to get the solution to the problem? Well, my answer to that is as many as it takes. So how often do you just give up and walk away from things and then find success? Never. So in your marriage, you'll come up with a strategy. I might say, well, just don't do anything after the kids go to bed. Come and watch TV with me and cuddle on the couch. And she'll say, well, that doesn't work because that stuff has to get done. And then I say, okay, so that strategy's out the window. How about if we take a look together at what's left and decide what actually has to be done together, and then divide it up and get it done, and then go watch some TV or cuddle on the couch? Okay, she might say, yeah, let's try that one. I'm in. Okay, so after 2 attempts, we found a strategy we both liked. Now, the first night, we might go and attempt that, and then we have an argument over me thinking something's not necessary and her thinking it's mandatory. We'll solve it then. But for right now, we've got an agreement to move forward, and then when we try the agreement, we'll do this thing called follow-up. So if you make this agreement, whatever it is, on the thing you're arguing about. In my case, we made an agreement to work together on what's necessary to get done after the kids are in bed. And then we'll divide it up and do it, and then we'll go and have some connection time. And so the follow-up would be literally the next evening saying, okay, let's see how this works. And so we jump in and we take most of the evening arguing over what's important and what's not. So now we understand that agreement doesn't work. So instead of fighting and getting into this fight and competing with each other over how dumb we are, what we'll do is, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back and we got the same problem. We're not able to do this strategy, so let's kind of keep working through the strategies. And so we would come up with a couple more. We might say, how about as soon as the kids go to bed, let's decide how much time we're going to put in. And let's give it an hour. And then the next hour, we'll go either watch an episode of something or go for a walk. We'll go play a game together, something like that. Okay, done. So then the next evening, we'll jump into 1 hour and we'll just go all out for the hour. And then as soon as the hour's up, we went and played a card game, played Uno together. And she said, you know what, with your help, we got enough done that I'm not overwhelmed. I like this agreement. And I might say, I really like this agreement too, because that 1 hour I felt like I was participating. I felt involved. I felt actually connected to you because we were working together, being playful, flirting a little bit. And then I loved playing Uno with you. So now we'll just keep doing that. That's a great agreement. When the kids go to bed, we got a plan. All right. And so each week for a while, I suggest this is number 9. So number 8 is follow up on the agreement. Make sure the agreement works for both of you, because if it doesn't work for both of you, you'll fail. And if you can't be flexible and change the agreement, you'll fail. And then number 9 is weekly in a couples council, just check in on all of the agreements you've made for the week and how are they going. And if you've got 400 agreements on the table, you're doing too much. You got to slow it down. You've got your whole marriage to work stuff out. Do 5 or 6 a week, and then you'll get perfect fast enough. So continue like evaluation of how the agreements are working. Like, are they working? Am I keeping my word? Give me a report card on how well I'm doing with helping after the kids go to bed. And we made that other agreement on date night. How are we doing on date night? How you feeling about it? Are we doing intentional date nights, or are they sloppy and no fun? And so we just do quick check-ins and evaluate our agreements once a week. Okay? Now that means we don't nag each other throughout the week. That means once a week we have a couple-hour meeting where we sit down and give each other a little report card, and we fill however it fills, and we make new agreements, and we think through these new agreements, and so we've got everything taken care of. So this will be a different way of approaching conflict for some of you. It literally will force you to focus on helping your spouse, helping the relationship, instead of helping yourself. Like, so often we go into conflict like self-serving, like it's about me, it's about my boundaries, it's about my self-care, it's about me, and I. And I'm like literally up to here with this world of self-care that everybody's into. Like, I think there used to be a time where in my career, there's a time where no one did self-care, and I was worried that we needed to help people learn to do self-care. Now self-care has become the new religion. It's like all about your boundaries. It's like all about my boundaries, my self-care, and the whole world has to bow down to it. So the balance would be, I'm concerned about my wife's self-care. She's concerned about mine. I'm concerned about her well-being, and she's concerned about mine. And these 9 steps will put you in that position of unselfishly looking at your lover's point of view and how they're thinking and feeling about something. And so that'll lead to that empathic compassion that you want to have. It also will help you take a selfless approach to disagreements. You'll never create a disconnection again. It'll be more connection. You won't feel the need to fight for the win. You won't have these unmet needs always floating around out there. So can you see how this way of resolving conflict, some people might think it'll take way too long, but your decade of fighting over a single issue is taking way too long. This will just, the time it takes to like understand each other and to empathize with each other is worth it. It does take time. You got to slow your life down. You both might need to say no to some things to have time to do this, and it'll end the time-starved relationship syndrome that we have going on out there. And so it'll create this arguing towards romance. And so that's why I can say with confidence that good, healthy arguing is very romantic, and it's going to like put a spin on your relationship that's just incredible. And so make sure you got time to do this. Make sure you don't do too many issues at a time, and make sure you manage these agreements with constant follow-up and report card evaluations. And there you have it. See what you think, and we'll let you check back with us. And in the comments section, give us a compliment. I should say give us an honest evaluation, but I just like compliments. So just give me a compliment down there, and we'll talk to you later.